The snow had begun to fall again, light at first, then heavier, clinging to the torn edges of a woman's coat as she sat on a cold, wooden bench near the edge of town, her hands wrapped around emptiness and memory. Her name was Clara, though no one had spoken it in months. She had learned that when you lose your home, your family, and your place in the world, even your name starts to fade. That evening, as the sky darkened and the town lights flickered on one by one, two small figures stood a few steps away from her, watching quietly, their identical faces pale and serious in the winter air. What happened next would change all their lives in ways none of them could have imagined. Before the story pulls you deeper, take a moment and like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Wild West Tale if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that happen when broken lives find each other. Clara had not always been homeless. Once she had a small house with white curtains that caught the morning sun, a kitchen that smelled of bread and coffee, and a husband whose laughter filled the rooms. That life had ended slowly, then all at once. Illness took her husband first, draining not only his strength but their savings and hope. Then the house followed, swallowed by debt and time. Friends drifted away, not out of cruelty, but because grief makes people uncomfortable and poverty makes them look away. By the time winter came, Clara was alone, moving from shelter to shelter until even those doors seemed to close. She learned how to survive quietly, how to fold herself small against the cold, how to keep her eyes down so the world would not see her need. The town itself was a place of old buildings and long memories, the kind where everyone knew everyone, yet somehow Clara became invisible. People passed her bench daily, some offering coins, others offering nothing at all. She never begged. Pride lingered longer than warmth. She told herself each night that she only needed one break, one kind moment to turn things around, though she no longer believed it fully. The twin girls came from the large ranch at the edge of town, a place known for its wide fields, strong fences, and a man who worked from dawn until dark. Their father had once been a warm presence, but life had hardened him after the death of his wife. Grief had settled into the ranch like dust, coating everything. The girls, Lily and Rose, had learned to be quiet, to stay out of the way, to take care of each other when their father's eyes grew distant. They missed what they could barely remember. Bedtime stories, gentle hands fixing their hair, the sound of a woman's voice humming through the house. On that cold evening, the twins had wandered farther than usual, their boots crunching softly on the snow as they followed a feeling they could not name. They noticed Clara because she was still, because sadness has a gravity that pulls even children toward it. They stood there, unsure, sensing something familiar in her loneliness. Clara felt their presence before she saw them. When she looked up, their faces startled her, not because they were strangers, but because they reminded her of a life she had lost and buried deep inside her heart. She expected them to run away or be called back by an adult, but they stayed. Time seemed to pause as the three of them shared a moment that needed no words. Clara's chest tightened, a mix of fear and longing. She knew better than to hope. Hope had hurt her too many times before. Over the next few days, the twins returned, always quietly, always together. Sometimes they left small things near Clara's bench. A piece of bread wrapped in cloth, a scarf too big for either of them, a drawing folded carefully and tucked under her hand. Clara tried to ignore it at first, afraid of the attachment growing inside her. She told herself that children belonged to a world she no longer had access to. Yet each small kindness chipped away at her defenses, warming her in ways the thin coat never could. The rancher noticed the changes in his daughters. They were more thoughtful, more serious, whispering together in the evenings, their eyes filled with something close to determination. He asked them what they were doing, but they only shook their heads. He was tired, worn thin by responsibility and grief, and he did not press them. He did not see how their hearts were slowly reaching beyond the boundaries he had unknowingly built around them. Clara's days took on a new rhythm. She began to sit up straighter, to smooth her hair with her fingers before the twins arrived. She told them stories without speaking, using gestures and expressions, letting them imagine the rest. In return, they watched her with complete attention, as if she were the most important person in the world. For the first time in a long while, Clara felt useful, seen, and needed. The cold grew harsher, and with it came danger. One night, Clara collapsed near the bench, her strength finally giving in to hunger and exhaustion. A passerby called for help, and the twins' father happened to be nearby, searching for his daughters who had not returned home on time. He found Clara unconscious, the twins kneeling beside her, holding her hands with desperate tenderness. In that moment, something shifted inside him. He saw not a stranger, but a woman worn down by life, and two children who had already chosen her in their hearts. Clara woke in a warm bed, the smell of clean sheets and wood smoke filling her senses. Fear hit her first, the instinct to flee before she could be rejected again. But the twins were there, asleep in chairs beside her, their heads leaning together. The rancher stood in the doorway, uncertain, respectful, carrying his own weight of sorrow. He did not ask questions at first. He simply offered her food, warmth, and time. Recovery was slow. Clara's body healed faster than her spirit. She expected to be asked to leave at any moment, but days turned into weeks. She helped where she could, folding laundry, sweeping floors, moving carefully as if afraid to disturb the fragile peace. The twins followed her everywhere, learning her routines, mirroring her gestures. The rancher watched from a distance, noticing the laughter slowly returning to his home, the way his daughter slept more soundly, the way Clara moved through the house as if she belonged. Yet fear still lived in Clara's chest. She felt unworthy of this kindness, convinced that it would be taken away. She battled the urge to pull back, to protect herself from another loss. But each morning, when the twins greeted her with bright eyes and small hands reaching for hers, she stayed. The turning point came quietly. One evening, as the fire crackled and snow fell outside, the truth settled into the room without words. The twins no longer saw Clara as a guest. They saw her as the missing piece in their lives. And the rancher, though still grieving, realized that love does not replace what is lost. It grows around it, making space for new beginnings. Clara was offered a place in the home, not out of charity but out of recognition. She had already become essential. Accepting it meant risking her heart again, stepping into a role she had thought forever closed to her. It meant believing that she deserved happiness after all she had endured. She accepted, trembling but hopeful. Seasons changed. Snow melted into spring and the ranch bloomed with life. Clara found strength returning to her hands, laughter to her voice. The twins flourished, their smiles wider, their fears softer. The rancher learned to breathe again, to let go of the tight grip grief had held on him. Together they built something new, something imperfect but deeply real. Clara often thought back to the bench, to the cold nights and silent tears. She knew how easily life could have gone another way. Gratitude filled her, not just for the roof over her head, but for the chance to love and be loved again. She did not forget where she came from, and she carried that compassion forward, teaching the twins the power of noticing those the world overlooks. As the story draws close to its end, if this journey has touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Wild West Tale, because your support helps stories of hope and kindness reach others who may need them. Just before we part, leave a comment sharing what part of this story moved you the most, or what kindness means to you in your own life. Clara was no longer invisible. She was a mother in all the ways that mattered, chosen not by circumstance but by love. And in a quiet town on a ranch once filled with silence, 3 broken lives found each other and became whole again.